to 6-Gun Guitars Luthier Lessons video series. This is continuing the French polishing series, but it's also continuing the alternate method for grain filling, which is filling with shellac itself and then cutting it back. This is what the back of the guitar looks like now that there's 2 or 3 really thick coats of shellac on here. I'm trying to avoid the glare for you here. But yeah, 2 or 3 coats, really nice and thick on there. So what this has done is it's filled the pores for me, but it's also put a bunch of shellac everywhere else. So what we need to do is come back and sand it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to this with just a regular palm sander and some 220. And what that's going to do, I'm going to take it down to where I'm pretty much down to the wood. I want to get down to where it's almost all the way to the wood, nice and flat. So that way, really the only thing left is maybe a little bit of shellac on the surface and all shellac inside the pores. And at that point, I'm going to dry it off, or I'm going to wipe it off rather, get all the dust off of there, and hold it again in a glancing light. You know, if my light source is you guys, you kind of hold it like this, so that way you can see coming across it. And if you can see any dimples, you can see any dings, you know, kind of anything like that, do a little bit more sanding, but as soon as you get down to the wood, if it's still there, it means it's an open pore. It's a situation that needs more filling. So you just come across with another couple of, another heavy coat, and go ahead and sand it back again, and you should be in business. I'm hoping this is going to be a one-stop shop, so to speak, because I put a lot of it on here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the pores are just too thick, and you need to, do it twice, essentially. But it's not the end of the world. It sands off really fast and easy. I'm going to open up the garage door for this. Make sure you have some ventilation for it. Shellac isn't too bad, but mask and glasses and a little bit of ventilation, you live a little longer. So I'm going to go over to the bench now and do this. I'll spare you the camera time for it, just because it's just going to be kind of boring. But I'm just going to head over to the bench and do this, and we'll get it sanded out, and I'll show you what it looks like. Here's what the guitar looks like. This is sanded most of the way down. You can see there's some lighter spots and there's some darker spots. Those lighter spots are where I've gone down to the wood. And the darker spots, there's still some shellac left, but I'm getting pretty darn level. I'm not feeling any bumps or anything like that. There's still some grain that hasn't quite been filled all the way. And I'm going to go back over this with another heavy coat of shellac here and let it dry again. And what this is going to do now is more than likely this is going to be our last step. More than likely this should fill every last thing that needs to be filled. I mean, the wood itself just feels very smooth. It feels very much better than it did before. And I can see a lot of the spots that are up here are completely filled already, but some of the ones down here just aren't done. So what you want to do before you do this second coat is really inspect and make sure that you didn't leave any sanding scratches behind. We're going to sand out most of the top coat, but depending on how deep you sand, if there's scratches still hanging around on here, you might bury them in shellac and you may never get to them again unless you sand all the way through again. We don't want to make more work than we already have. So like I said, I'm just kind of rotating this in the light, and I'm sorry if I'm glaring the heck out of you like this, I'm just trying to see it myself. But just trying to see if there's any little scratches or whatnot. If you're using an orbital sander, or a spinning sander, however you're using, the last thing you want to do is in your hand, lightly, take some regular 220 and just go completely with the grain. And what this is going to do is it's going to lay down any of those last sanding scratches. Now you don't want to push very hard when you're doing this, because by hand you can really do some damage. But just go nice and easy, going completely with the grain. Just barely any hand pressure, just enough to get it on there. And you can see that it's changing color, so you know you're sanding. Go completely with the grain, minding your edges, being careful not to round them too much. But nice and straight. And what this is going to do, it's not going to eliminate any stretch marks. It'll eliminate small ones that are going the opposite way. But what this is mainly going to do is it's going to make sure that if there's any scratches on here, that they're lined up with the grain, essentially making them invisible. So we've got sanded up pretty good here. Again, check your sandpaper from time to time so you don't get these on here. That's called corning. And what that'll do is it'll scrape up the wood. And that'll add even more scratches, which is the opposite of what you're trying to do. So nice and light, nice and easy, very straight with the grain. Get that last bit of sanding in. And I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off. And like I said, I don't see any scratches on here. I'm feeling pretty confident in it. I'm going to go ahead and put another coat of shellac on there. Again, this is going to be the 3-pound stuff. I want to lay it on kind of thick on this so that way I get good coverage and get good pore filling. I'm going to lay it on here good. I'm going to let that dry for another few hours, let it cure out 100% before I come back and sand it. And I will show you what that looks like after we come back and we sand again. If you have any questions about this, like I said, just shoot me an email, 6gunguitars@gmail.com. I'll be glad to help you out.